I quit fertilizer forever after this soil secret. And, well, my garden exploded. Most gardeners don't realize this, but the biggest thing holding their plants back isn't sunlight, watering, or even the weather. It's the soil. And not because the soil is bad, but because it's missing something essential. For years, I poured my money into fertilizers that promise miracle growth. The bags were colourful, the nutrients were heavy, and honestly, the claims were bold. But every season ended the same way. Plants that looked exhausted, soil that felt lifeless, produce that tasted bland. Until one year I tried something different. One shift, one change in mindset, and, the results were so dramatic that I stopped using fertilizer altogether. What actually revived my garden wasn't more feeding, it was more minerals, real minerals, natural minerals. And once I made that switch, everything transformed. Here's the truth most gardeners never hear. Fertilizer feeds plants, minerals feed soil, and soil life is what actually grows healthy plants. When you force-feed NPK into the ground, the plants will respond for a while, but the soil biology slowly collapses. You end up with compacted beds, weak growth, and vegetables that lack the flavour you remember. Healthy soil isn't just dirt. It's an ecosystem full of microbes, fungi, beneficial organisms, and minerals that all work together. When even one piece goes missing, the whole system falters. When you replace what nature intended, those lost trace minerals, the garden wakes up almost overnight. The amendment that changed everything for me was biochar. This isn't charcoal. This isn't ashes. This is ancient black earth technology that indigenous farmers used thousands of years ago to create fertile soil that still thrives today. Biochar is full of tiny pores that act like a permanent home for microbes and nutrients. But, the secret is charging it first. Uncharged biochar can draw nutrients out of your soil. So here's the formula that works. Mix 1 gallon of biochar with 1 gallon of worm castings and add 2 cups of water to moisten the mixture. Let it sit for 24 hours. Then spread it evenly through the top 6 inches of your soil at roughly 10% of your total soil volume. Once it's in the ground, it stays there for centuries, continuously improving structure and microbial activity. If your soil feels like bricks, gypsum becomes your best friend. Unlike lime, gypsum doesn't change your soil's pH. Instead, it separates tightly compacted clay particles and opens up pathways for air and water. Compacted soil suffocates roots. Gypsum fixes that. To treat dense clay, apply 40 pounds of gypsum per 1,000 square feet and water it in deeply with at least 1 inch of water. Within weeks, you can feel the difference as the soil begins to crumble instead of clump. Nothing brings soil back to life faster than worm castings. These aren't just decomposed materials. They're packed with beneficial microbes, enzymes, and natural root-stimulating compounds that fertilizers can't replicate. The difference is almost instant, Better germination, softer soil, stronger seedlings, and healthier overall growth. For beds, just mix in a layer of worm castings about 1 inch thick across the surface and water it in with 1 gallon of plain water per square foot. For potting soil, use about 25% worm castings in your mix for continuous nutrition. Greensand, the ocean's mineral refill, comes from ancient sea deposits and contains slow-release minerals that enrich soil for up to 5 years. It boosts root development, deepens plant colour and improves overall vigour in a way that chemical fertilizers just can't match. To use it, spread 5 pounds of greensand per 100 square feet and water with enough water to soak the top 3 to 4 inches of soil. It works slowly but steadily, restoring mineral balance over time. Basalt rock dust. Well, it's like the long-term vitamin for your soil. It brings back the minerals that rainfall and years of gardening tend to wash away. This volcanic material, it contains natural elements that really improve flavour, strengthen plant immunity, and even boost aroma in your herbs and fruit. The difference, honestly, is noticeable in taste alone. To apply, just use about 10 to 15 pounds per 100 square feet, and make sure to water it in thoroughly with at least 1 gallon of water per square foot. Basalt keeps on feeding the soil for several years, slowly rebuilding what nature has lost. Kelp meal. Now, that's the stress shield for plants. It's honestly one of the most powerful natural plant boosters on Earth. Kelp meal contains natural growth hormones, over 60 trace minerals, and special compounds that help plants recover from heat, drought, cold, and even transplant shock. It doesn't push growth aggressively. Instead, kelp meal really strengthens plants from the inside. To use it, just mix about 2 pounds of kelp meal per 100 square feet into the top layer of your soil, then water it in with 2 gallons of water per square foot to activate all those minerals. Epsom salt, the magnesium tune-up, is something I always keep on hand. When plants turn yellow between the veins or just seem weak, even if the soil is good, they're often missing magnesium. Magnesium, well, it's actually at the center of every chlorophyll molecule. No magnesium means, no photosynthesis. Epsom salt solves that problem pretty quickly. Just mix 1 tablespoon of Epsom salt per gallon of water. You can use it as a soil drench or even as a foliar spray every 3 to 4 weeks throughout the growing season. Tomatoes, peppers, roses, berries and cucumbers, they all respond especially well to this treatment. All right, let's bring it all together in a simple plan. You don't need to use everything in one day, Just think of your soil as something you build layer by layer. Start off with biochar and worm castings to kickstart the biology. If the structure needs a little help, correct it with gypsum. Restore any missing minerals with basalt and greensand. Strengthen your plant's resilience by adding kelp meal. And, tune up those magnesium levels with Epsom salt if you need to. As these pieces come together, your soil becomes richer, darker, softer, and honestly, just more alive. You stop fighting your garden. Instead, you start partnering with it. And the plants, they reward you in ways fertilizer alone never could. Now, here are my final thoughts. When I stopped focusing on feeding plants and started focusing on feeding soil, everything changed. My garden grew with less effort, fewer pests, richer flavour, and a vibrancy that fertilizer just never delivered. If you want a garden that keeps improving year after year, this is the path. Build the soil, restore the minerals, trust the biology, and just watch the transformation. If you found this guide helpful, make sure you subscribe to Timeless Crops Haven and share this video with a fellow gardener. Let's keep growing smarter, not harder.